Welcome back to another episode of the Experts in Fire podcast. I'm your host, Mike Vennard, and with me today is Randy Mowry. Today's episode is, when should I replace my gas logs? Let's get into it. Hey Randy, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great today. It's nice and sunny out this morning. It was a nice drive in. How are you, sir?
It is, so it rained here at my place, and I don't have to water flowers and stuff today, so that's a positive, but it's gorgeous outside. So we were hanging out with some of our vendors last night, and they're from the south, and they always tease us during the winter times, right? And we went to dinner, sat out on the patio, and they were like, guys, we couldn't do this where we're from. And we're like, really? Yeah. They're like, yeah, people are dying from the heat right now. It's like 102. And we just started laughing. So, I pitch it every year at this time. If you want to go on a quick vacation from the south, come on up to Michigan, because it's gorgeous up here right now.
It is.
So, Randy, we're going to talk about gas log sets. And the question is, when should I replace my gas logs? And I got to tell you, I walk into a lot of people's houses and I immediately, because I'm like a hearth nerd, right? But everyone's house I go into, I have to go check out their gas log set, or I check out their fireplace, right? And I'll ask, when's the last time? And it's just, some people are on top of it, and some people, man, they just flip a switch, right?
Yes, because I do the same thing no matter if I'm in a home, restaurants, wherever I'm at, I'm looking, I'm going, and I'm just investigating. Yeah, it doesn't matter where I'm at. It's one of those forgotten things, I believe, from a maintenance standpoint, which makes it look possibly worse than it really is.
Yes. Yeah. You're right, because there's a period of time, and if you live in the South, there's a long period of time where you're not using, any kind of gas log sets. I'm trying to think of any other outside of your lawnmower. You know what I mean? What else goes that long without being used? And then all of a sudden, when you want to use it, you're like, oh crap. That's why we always get an influx every year. First cold snap, it's like the phones are ringing off the hook. It's like, come on, folks.
That's funny.
So when it comes to gas logs, Randy, how long do gas logs typically last? I mean, I know when we talk anything else, let's say in the kitchen, a stove, you can kind of estimate how long a stove's going to run you. Refrigerator, how long until I'm going to have to replace it. I don't think a lot of people outside of, I want different logs, I want different looking logs, something of that nature, but how long do gas logs typically last?
On average, like a vented log set, and we're just talking log sets here that are going into open fireboxes, open like wood burning fireplaces. Vented log sets typically are they could last anywhere from 10 to 25 years. A ventless log set, 3 to 5. Now, those obviously can be skewed based on usage, like you mentioned previously, of how often somebody's using them. Somebody, possibly on the East Coast where it's, really cold all winter long, we're getting, tons of cold weather, months and months a year. They might be using those every single day because they might be using it for warmth, where then, like you mentioned, somebody may only use them 2-3 times a year. So it is going to depend on the usage, but, that's pretty average in that 10 years, on a vented log. Typically your burners, the logs are the logs, the burners are the burners. So you have like the log set, the logs themselves on average on a vented set are in that 10-year mark, 3 to 5 years on the ventless logs. But like the burners themselves, there again on usage, they could in theory last up to like, 20 years or so, 25 years.
If your gas logs are lighting and running, okay, great. They still function, but in my brain, I'm thinking, man, especially when it comes to vent free, there just comes a time, and maybe this is the engineer of my son being an engineer rubbing off on me. There comes a time where I start to go, hold on. There's got to be something, Randy. What should folks do to really kind of help them understand when they should be thinking about replacing their gas logs?
Well, we always stress safety. So, the first thing would be is if there's problems with the burners themselves. We'll just start there, whether that is a crack in their tube where the flame comes out. Maybe it's been in an area that got wet and they just didn't replace it, like somebody, like they flooded their room. Maybe they're in a basement and it's gotten rust all over the burner. It's things like that where the burner becomes unsafe and maybe parts are not available for them. Those are the safety reasons to get rid of a log set. The rest of it comes down to some of the aesthetics, like you mentioned, maybe the breakdown of a log. Maybe the logs are starting to crack because they are old, they've had heavy usage on them, and they're just starting to fall apart. So the logs these days are made up of refractory ceramic logs, are made of a mixture of ceramic and concrete. And they do that to retain the strength at high temperatures, and they may have like some kind of steel or stainless steel rod with that log. Then you have your less expensive, lightweight, think styrofoam, a ceramic fiber, lightweight log. You get a little bit glow. It's a less expensive way to make a log. You see a lot of ventless logs using that type of log. Those are going to break down sooner because of that material. It's just a lightweight material, less expensive manufacturing process. When those logs start to break down, then those are going to be some considerations to start replacing them. Now, then you've got folks, like your wife's in the real estate part of the business. You get to the aesthetic part, Mike. We do have folks that, hey, I just bought this house. I don't know how long these logs have been here, but they just don't look good. I don't like them. So there's that aesthetic. It could be just from fading or, and I know that we're going to touch on logs are going to, vented logs, logs are going to soot. They're going to get a soot on them. And over time, if there is no maintenance, it is just going to pile up and pile up and pile up. And then from that aesthetic value is really going to take away from the look of the log.
You have fire-related questions, and we have answers. You can email us your questions at podcast@woodlanddirect.com or give us a call at 586-221-3638. We would love to be able to answer them right here on the Experts in Fire podcast.
I want to be careful that we touch... You've been mentioning the difference between vented and ventless, and it just popped in my head that folks might look at their logs and go, oh, I'm going to replace my logs. There are two pieces to a gas log set, and that's the burner and then the logs. Those are the two. I mean, there's multiple logs, but the two things you have to have is the burner to connect to the gas, and then the flames are going to come out of that, and then the logs that stack on top of said burner. So Randy's talked about two different pieces here. The burner itself might have cracks in the tubes or not performing properly and just need to be replaced. And the logs are breaking down or wearing out, or just, I don't want that aged oak kind of, burnt look. I would prefer something different. When you're thinking about, and Randy, I'm going to pose this question to you, when you're thinking about either of those scenarios, do I need to change both out if I want to change one?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And we're going to start with ventless because ventless is very specific. The logs are matched with the burners that have the grate built into it, and they have to be stacked in a very specific spot on said burner for it to perform properly. Okay, because the ventless logs are essentially like a heating appliance. They're 99.9% efficient, and they're going to produce heat. So this is going to be something that's going to be replaced as a whole, not calling and just getting logs. And that's why when folks call and ask for just logs, it's getting a breakdown and finding out exactly what they have before that conversation can move forward for safety reasons more than anything else. So ventless logs and burners match together. They are going to be specific to the burner and be placed over top of said burner in a very specific manner so that it performs properly. And we see that a lot with even like the vented logs these days, Mike, where when you look at a manual for the manufacturers manufacturers, just like a Ventless, they're showing you where to place these things at. Some of them may or may not have specific pins for placement of the logs and sitting over the correct burner as well. So even if it's a vented log, I still encourage folks to replace it as a system. You have a warranty as a system. It will burn properly as a system, and then it's safe.
And it's going to run you another 10 to 20 years, depending on, yeah, I'm with you.
Exactly.
That's how I do math. When I'm going to buy something, it drives my wife insane. I look at things and I go, what's the longevity of this? How much time am I going to get out of it? And then I start to divide the cost of it. And as long as that number makes sense, and that's what I would encourage folks to do. If you've had your gas log set for a while, don't cheap out here, because you're looking at it going, well, there's nothing wrong with the logs. I really like those. I'm going to try and slide a different burner underneath it, and it'll be okay. In a vent-free situation, it's not okay. There can be zero flame impingement. In a vented log situation, that burner's going to burn different than the old one did, and now your logs that have been around for how many years are going to be exposed to a new, maybe higher intensity heat. It's smarter to just pair the two together and help the whole system work together. I agree with you there, Randy. It's a part of the process that a professional could help you walk through. And I want to encourage everyone out there, get a pro. We work with a lot of our pros. They order a lot of gas log sets from us for their clients out there. That pro can come in, check out what you got going on, and leave very little room for guessing. They'll know exactly what to do, how to do it, and why to do it. So a lot of good information. Randy, was there anything else you wanted to add to the when should people replace their logs?
We see, going back to the real estate thing, a lot of folks are replacing their logs and putting nicer logs in, newer logs when they're trying to sell a house. Just getting that old one out there. Maybe they haven't used it. They don't know how safe it is. And it comes down to getting the professionals out there moving, kind of just touching on the maintenance part of it. Homes need to be inspected. That needs to be inspected. Maybe that's not performing properly and need to get that out of there. Because there is maintenance that you want to do on these logs. Getting a gas pro out there and confirming and checking everything is still working properly and safely in that firebox. You want to read the manuals. Every log set is going to have a different set of cleaning, but generally a light brush, toothbrush, getting any kind of soot off the log and things of that nature. Always refer back to the manufacturer's maintenance and what they're actually recommending you to do. It may vary a little bit here and there, so I really don't want to go down that road because one's going to be.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, but there is maintenance on it. We right in the beginning, you said that there's maintenance on everything that has moving parts to it, and we have to always keep that in mind.
I think that's my final encouragement to everyone. It's like going to the dentist. We come up with some good examples on this show, don't we?
We do.
It is. I mean, I sat with a dental hygienist once, and it had been a while since I had been in for a cleaning. The biggest sigh. She had zero qualms with, letting me know that she didn't want to touch my mouth because it had been a while since I seen. And I'm like, no, really, I take good care of my teeth. So she went through the process, and you could tell that she deals with a lot of people who come in and need help, and it's been a while, and she's going to be there for a while. It made me laugh. We both giggled about it, but in the end, it's the same thing here. An annual inspection, you throw it into the cost of things, and you just have someone come out. They know your equipment. They know the good, bad, and ugly about it. They know, you could probably make that last another year or whatever. And there aren't that many pieces to a gas log set. So for them to be able to get a part if they need a part and keep it running until you finally say, no, I'm done, it's definitely a possibility. What you don't want to do is end up in a power outage where, boy, I sure wish I could turn my gas log set on and it won't light.
We're back to that 1 foot of snow and the snowblower don't work.
Yeah, we're a little late now. You can tell we're from the north because it's definitely occasionally happen to my family members and they call me.
Yes. Yes.
That is fun. So we just want to put out there to everyone who's listening, especially a positive shout out to our pros. Use your pros out there. If you're a homeowner and you're looking at, man, should I replace my gas log set? When do I know to replace my gas log set? I hope the information has been helpful that we've given. Ultimately, Randy and I are going to lean back to, because we work with a lot of them, that guy who can walk in, or gal who can walk in and take a look at your situation and know what's going on, and help you in a heartbeat. For everyone else who's listening, thank you. Thank you to all of you for joining us. Randy and I really appreciate the opportunity just to chat about the things that we know and we love, as nerdy as it may be at times. And we encourage you to shoot us a note. There's multiple ways that they give you that you can get a hold of us. Shoot us a note. We'll talk about it. Or multiple times people have sent things over. Randy's just called them directly or shot them an email and let them know how to move forward with their project. So, Randy, as always, brother, thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Everybody have a wonderful day.
And we're out.
Join us next time for Elevating Your Hearth with a Mantle. We'll see you then.